Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review on The Strain. This week's episode was entitled Runaways. And I did something a little bit different for starting with this week's episode. I know you guys may have heard me mention before that what I talk about usually comes off the top of my head. I leave it up to my mind to remember everything. But this week I decided to start writing things down, like I call them talking points that I really want to make sure I discuss a little bit. And, just different parts of the story and the episode or different things that happened I really want to remember to mention. So, yeah, here's the paper. It's a little messy, but yeah. I also wrote something on there I don't really want you guys to see, but yeah. Basic idea. This way I won't really forget anything I really want to talk about with you guys, so yeah. Like I said, this week's episode is called The Runaways, and this show, man, is really, really consistent. Like, I'm really impressed by it, like, week after week. It just feels like the same level of quality, the same level of importance, the same level of consistency is a great word I would use to describe this show. Has a really good consistency, and it's really even from week to week, I think, as far as, things that I think are worth talking about, and just the quality of the show is just really well done all around every week, I think. I know there's some, haters out there that believe that, it's going too slow, or the acting is subpar, or something like that, but really, I think it's all around been a really solid show. I like most of the characters. I'm a big fan of Ephraim on the show. Goodweather, Corey Stahl. I think he's doing an amazing job as a character. I even like his family scenes. I relate to him a lot in those moments. But hey, haters gonna hate, right? So yeah, but overall, I think it's been getting a pretty positive reaction from most of the actual fans. So yeah, I'm really hoping it gets renewed and gets to go on for as long as it wants to. And I think I talked about that a little bit before as well, so I don't want to get too repetitive. But right now we're here to discuss the 5th episode, Runaways, as I said before. And one of the first things I've written down here is about Gabe. And if you guys don't know who Gabe is, then remember he's that rock star type of guy with the long black hair. And he's the one who we last seen who went smooth, his, we'll just say his, what word should I use to describe this on YouTube? We'll just say his, reproducing organ fell off. You guys remember that happening to him, and this week we see, his assistant basically trying to get him some help. Like, I think it was she tried to get him a neurologist or something like that. And, you basically see Gabe, he's even more transformed. He still has some of that makeup on him, so he doesn't look quite as bad as he probably does underneath. But, like, we see his eyes are even more messed up, and we see just his attitude. He doesn't really talk anymore. And you feel like he still, like, ponders or, like, thinks about some things that people are saying to him here and there, but he's really almost as far gone as Redfern was before he was killed. So yeah, Gabriel here is almost fully transformed, and yeah, he attacks and kills a neurologist, and his assistant sees him doing it, and she tries to run down the stairs, but of course she hurts her ankle, but she still gets out, and she cancels the concert he had coming up and things like that. So yeah, not much happened there. We expected that to happen eventually with him, something along those lines. We've been seeing that happen with all the other, survivors, from week to week. We've been seeing them go further along their transformations and different things like that. So, yeah, just, again, not much more I can say about this that I haven't already said before, but I just really like the makeup on Gabe, how it's changing his appearance more and more. And he's really pretty much bald underneath. That long black hair is like a wig, basically. We know that. And he really doesn't have any hair underneath anymore, so yeah, I imagine that'll be a while before we get to see him Hey, I kind of stumbled over my words there, but just really chilling, intense scene with him attacking the neurologist, and yeah, just some pretty cool stuff. Not much more I can say about it other than that. I'm guessing Ephraim and Abraham will probably get to him eventually, if not something else, so we'll see what goes on with that. And I forget her name, but the lawyer, the woman, she's a mother, and we see her, she's getting more sick at home with the nanny and things like that, and her kids, and you see she's just sick in bed, and she wants to go outside and get some fresh air. Then when her kids come up to her, it's really creepy, and you feel like she may or may not attack her kids eventually. And like the nanny's getting really worried about what's actually going on with her, and she's trying to get the kids out, but eventually the lawyer confronts her, and she like sniffs her children, and it's just really tense and creepy all at the same time. And yeah, so we know they're not against turning kids into vampires on the show, as we've seen with the little girl and her father. So yeah, it's not really out of the range of possibility for the show to have the lawyer mother attack her kids or turn them. I'm not sure if they'd actually show the kids being attacked, or what I'm saying is they won't be against showing the kids turn into vampires after the fact. So yeah, some really creepy, intense stuff with that. The lawyer lets the nanny take the kids, and they get away in the car. And the lawyer, of course, is going outside, but she'll probably attack someone there, I'm guessing. So yeah, again, I really like the slow transformations they have with these characters. We don't necessarily care about them too much, but it's just interesting to see, how the transformation progresses, and like how it changes the person, little by little. So yeah, it's a pretty cool, interesting thing, I think. And let's see. Oh yeah, one of the more memorable scenes in this episode was with Ephraim and Abraham having breakfast at the the girl's house, the little girl's house, and they make eggs and things like that, and Abraham basically is telling Goodweather and explaining to him more about the situation they're in, and he tells them a little bit about the master, saying he has a terrible will. Goodweather's trying to find out what the master's actual name is, and it's cool because Abraham uses the Romanian word for vampire, and I, for the life of me, can't pronounce it. It's like Strigoi, I think, based off of the Facebook page here. But yeah, it's cool because we kind of get to hear Ephraim actually uses the word vampire, so we finally get to hear that word or term thrown out there. So yeah, it's pretty cool hearing Abraham describing a little bit more about that to Ephraim. And with that, we get some flashbacks to when Abraham was being taken to concentration camps with his brother and his mother. And we see them staying there. We all know what the Holocaust is like, just brutal, inhumane stuff. I mean, it doesn't show too much about that, but we see that Thomas is actually the leader, or like the head of that particular concentration camp. And Thomas is, of course, the second hand to the master, as we know, the one who we've seen putting on all that makeup and stuff. So yeah, and the one Abraham has a history with, as we knew before, but we know even more so now. And yeah, we've seen Abraham had to witness something pretty brutal happen to his brother, because as they were sleeping at night at the concentration camp, along with all that, tormenting manual work and the harsh treatment, he and his brother seen the master. They caught glimpses of him going through and just, even using a tongue and getting blood from various people who were sleeping, and just snapping their necks afterwards, which is really, really brutal and a little bit scary. Not really for me, because I've seen quite a lot of stuff like that, but still really intense. And that's a word I often use for this show, if you guys haven't noticed. And what's really makes you feel bad for Abraham is we see him eventually see his brother get injected with that tongue, and then he has to see his brother get his neck snapped by the master. And thankfully the master leaves Abraham alone, but yeah, it's still, you feel really bad for Abraham seeing his brother die in that fashion, especially. So yeah, it's some pretty brutal stuff, and I don't know if we're gonna see more flashback scenes to the concentration camp. Like, I'd be interested in seeing, seeing Thomas as the leader there, maybe seeing him treat Abraham really, really poorly, like he would, and I'd just like to see more about that. And yeah, some pretty cool scenes. And let's see. We also got a couple scenes of Nora, and she was visiting her mother. And, of course, Ephraim was trying to call her, but, she's not answering his phone calls at all right now. And we see Nora visit her mother at some kind of hospital, or like a nursing kind of thing, and nursing home kind of thing. And, you kind of see her mother has like a certain, disease where she's forgetting where she is, and, Alzheimer's. And, she's forgetting where she is, and she's forgetting who people are and what time it is, and things like that, and she, starts brushing Nora's hair, she's a little girl again, and talking to her about her father and stuff like that. So, yeah, you know how stuff goes. It's a little bit depressing, but they don't really go too much into that. And we see that Nora's always had to convince her mother, she was called down there because her mother tried to get out of the place because she's frustrated about being there because she doesn't know anyone there. She doesn't like being around strangers 24/7. And, Nora was called down there, and, Nora has to constantly remind her mother that the nursing home hospital thing is, her home now, and her mother doesn't really accept that. And, you could say this is probably the flatter part of the episode for this week, but, again, it's not a bad couple scenes. I mean, it's fine, it's finely acted. I don't really have any complaints about it. It's just one of the lighter parts, or not really the lighter parts, but like the slower parts of the week. So yeah, not really anything to complain about there, but not too much to talk about either. But again, some decent scenes, and we actually see a vampire show up, and he attacks a few of the workers at the place, and Nora is forced to take her mother out of the hospital and run off. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with a vampire showing up in public like that. So yeah, I imagine it'll be covered up a little bit, but still, it's kind of cool to see things are starting to get a little bit more chaotic, and things are starting to progress a little bit more with the takeover. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, and we'll see what happens with Nora and her mother being outside now. Yeah, I don't think her mother's going to last too long, unfortunately, so that will probably force Nora to act a little bit differently, but we'll see what happens with that. It's just a prediction. But I don't think her mother will make it too long at all. I could be wrong, but we'll see what goes on with that. And let's see, like I said, I'm just reading off of my little list here, my talking points. Let's see. Yeah, of course, we see the exterminator. I'm gonna try to get his name. Hold on a second, guys, I apologize. Okay, that's kind of cool, but I'll do another video about that later. Okay, I don't want to get into that right now, but just read that the strain had been picked up for a second season, so yeah, I'm definitely going to do a video about that. But back to this episode, Runaways. As I was talking about the exterminator, yeah, his name is Vasily Vet. I'm sorry, I'm really mispronouncing his name, I know, but we basically seen him go into the sewer because he's seen all the rats coming out of there, just running out of the sewer. I they don't really do things like that unless there's like a bigger predator or something like that. So he's seen the exterminator go into the sewer, and yeah, he sees something running around that turns out to be like almost like a horde or like a mob of vampires start chasing after him in the sewer, and he barely gets away up the ladder back to the surface, and then we see some of the vampires back away from the ladder because of the sun coming down to that area. So yeah, we see that sun, in this version is, extremely fatal to vampires. So yeah, they can't be in it for more than like a second before they start burning up. So yeah, it's some really cool. It was really, really, really super intense when he was running from the vampires, and I knew he wasn't gonna. I kind of assumed he wasn't gonna die, but I was still a little bit worried about him when he tried getting up that ladder. But I like Kevin Durant as an actor. You know, we've seen him in a lot of different movies over the years, so you know, it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how they integrate him into more of the main plot of what's going on. And you know, I imagine it'll be pretty useful physically fighting against the vampires though when the time comes. So you know, some pretty cool stuff again. And yeah, that's for the most part almost everything minus the final main scene. We see Ephraim try to go to his boss at the CDC and show him the. Wait, hold on. I missed one scene. Ephraim and Abraham go to Ansel's house. You know, the family man who was locked himself up in the shed. You know, killed his own dog, and his wife, you know, basically threw that neighbor into the shed with him to feed him. And we see Ephraim and Abraham arrive at that house, you know, going off of the list that Abraham has. And, you know, we've seen the wife hauling herself over doing that. And she wrote a note saying she couldn't bear to live in this world without Ansel. And we basically see Ephraim and Abraham go to the shed, and Ephraim had wanted to bring a video camera as a way to get actual evidence that he could show to people. You know, it should be extremely useful. Yeah, so they slowly open the shed, and you know, Ephraim has the camera ready, and he gets a little bit of footage. And you know, Abraham had given him a nail gun which has silver in it, and Ephraim actually shot the fully vampiric Ansel vampire a few times, and you know, silver really affects him or at least stuns him, and that allowed Abraham to kill him with his sword. And then we've seen the neighbor is also transformed into a vampire. You know, and Abraham basically gave him a mercy killing. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff. You know, we already seen what Ansel had to go through with his family and the dog and stuff like that, so it's pretty sad, but we knew it couldn't really have gone any other way. So yeah, some really good scenes, and that follows up with a scene of Ephraim going to his boss at the CDC facility, and you know, he's trying to show his boss the footage that he got of the, you know, Ansel as a vampire on his phone, of how rabid he was and vicious and stuff like that. And you know, his boss at first, you know, just completely refuses to even look at it, but he does eventually look at the video footage, and then he says, oh yeah, I'm going to cancel all my appointments, I'm going to, you know, move mountains to do something about it. But then we find out from Jim, you know, who's still a little bit wary being around Ephraim after, you know, he had told Ephraim that he let that truck pass with the coffin and stuff the other week. So then, you know, Jim tells Ephraim that they're actually, you know, Ephraim actually assumes that he's not canceling his appointments. The boss is actually calling the cops or the security on Ephraim, and, you know, Jim helps Ephraim escape through the back way. And, yeah, so there's basically going to be authorities after Ephraim now because they've apparently had video footage of Ephraim dragging Redfern's body, you know, in the basement of the building. So yeah, they think he's like a killer or something like that, or psychotic. And then we see Ephraim put on a hat to, you know, cover his kind of trademark hair, and yeah, we see him just, you know, wander off into the city. So yeah, we've seen from the previews that's going to play a pretty big part next week with the FBI being, or the cops being after him. And yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I mean, I guess when the boss seen the footage, he probably assumed it was fake or from like a movie or a show or something like that. But yeah, it is like it was an intentionally frustrating scene that the boss didn't really take that seriously though. So yeah, all this could have been a huge help if the guy had believed it, but Abraham was right and with assuming that they probably wouldn't. So yeah, again, a really well done episode, very consistent show, and yeah, just another solid episode. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. You know, of course, for my review of next week's episode, as well as any other videos I do before and after that point. And yeah, so I'll catch you guys later, and peace.